Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fight Club. I am super excited for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. As you know, the first rule of Fight Club is that you must talk about Fight Club, right? So make sure that you are sharing this video around to everyone that you know that is involved in this party or this movement. These are four of the greatest dudes I've gotten to meet in this party. And so these are great. All of them are great people to carry our message out. So go share this with everybody. Let them know what the future of the party looks like, and make sure that they're being able to be informed if they're going to the convention. That's always a good thing. We're informed voters around here, right? As always, we are live streaming here exclusively on Free Speech Media Network, bringing you the stories, events, conversations, and debates that you won't find elsewhere in the mainstream media. But before we bring up our contestants, we have a few sponsors to talk about real quick. First up, hold on, using a new software, bear with me, guys. First up, they're awesome, Become a Proud Libertarian and get all of the best Liberty swag in one place. You can find hats, t-shirts, books, yard signs, bumper stickers, and so much more over at proudlibertarian.com. If you need a last-minute gift for that liberty lover in your life, or you need a shirt to piss off that statist friend at New Year's, they've got it over at Proud Libertarian. So you can click the link in the description or go to proudlibertarian.com. Use promo code FreeSpeechCorp, all caps, no spaces, and you'll get up to 10% off your first order. Again, that is proudlibertarian.com, promo code FreeSpeechCorp. And we also have... oh, come on. Go beyond shrooms with Zoom. Step into the new era of psychedelics. From Advanced Mycology, the makers of Shroom and the Mycadelic Grow Bag, comes a clean, safe, legal, and pure tablet designed for meaningful experiences. Matocin is a natural psilocybin analog that provides a shorter, clearer trip with the same euphoric, groundbreaking effects, and most importantly, it is completely legal. So you can go over to zoomtrip.com to learn more about Matocin, the dosages, and shipping information. And I cannot recommend these enough. They're awesome. I've gotten the pleasure of consuming some of them. And the people that make them are genuinely some of the greatest people in the world that I've gotten to work with or just meet. If we're talking just the people, they're great. So go on over to advancedmyco.com. That link is also in the description. That's where you can find the grow bags, the liquid culture, or the new Zoom tablets. Go on over, check them out, and support the network while also supporting, again, some of the greatest people, Ovens and Judd. They're just fantastic. But competing in the ring tonight, we have... there we go. From Indianapolis, Indiana, he is the chairman of the thriving LP of Indiana and the secretary of the LNC, Mr. Evan McMahon. From Buffalo, New York, is an author, activist, and accomplished lawyer, Mr. Jim Ostrowski. And hailing from Charlotte, North Carolina, comms director for LP North Carolina and a consistently solid candidate, Mr. Rob Yates. And from the great Republic of Texas and the weird but amazing city of Austin, founder of the Libertarian Booster Pack, and has worked to get countless libertarians on the ballot and elected, Wes Benedict. Gentlemen, thank you all so much for coming on, and welcome to the fight. All right, so I'm going to start off with giving you guys each, kind of in that same order, just like 3 or 4 minutes for an opening statement. Why should you be the next chair of the LNC? Yes.
legislature, and people take our opinions on things very seriously. We're in a tough state. We have straight ticket voting, where 68% of the people walk in and they push the button to vote for all of one political party. And it's the tribalism of who you grew up with and who's around you in the neighborhood. But even with that, we still have quite a few elected libertarians to local offices in the state of Indiana. All of our races now officially are partisan. So people went in a majority and voted for those libertarian candidates. We also have libertarians appointed to boards and commissions, including Mark Rutherford, who's the president of the Public Defenders Commission here in the state of Indiana, was appointed by Governor Mitch Daniels. That was quite a while ago, but he's still on the commission because libertarians make the government smaller and more efficient here in Indiana. So I want to bring that same professionalism, things that I've traveled across the country in the last, 20 years, working with people to, build up county parties in places like, in Texas, worked with people there, Pat Dixon, and, California and Colorado, Ohio, and down in Florida, going across the country to help candidates get on the ballot, help start up county parties, and do everything that I can to make us a successful party. I want to do that again, but this time as a national chair.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me. So I've been in the libertarian movement since 1979, so I've kind of old enough to have a historical perspective on it. And I had been a sort of what we used to call a liberal Democrat. So I came from the left of that time. Never been a conservative, but been in the movement since 79. Been active in the LP off and on throughout the years. I've been chair of the Erie County Libertarian Party twice. I've been the election lawyer for the State Libertarian Party in recent years. We've had some difficulties. We had a team of lawyers, and I drew the short straw to actually show up in court and face the Second Circuit. Three very grim faces from the Ivy League, and we lost ballot status, unfortunately. So long time history in the movement. I've written a bunch of books, and I'm affiliated with the Mises Institute. I've written for the Cato Institute, and I've written for Reason Magazine, and pretty much know, a lot of the figures in the movement and going back a long time. So my take, I could summarize my campaign up in basically one sentence, maybe two. Liberty is the greatest political idea in the history of the human race, but it's the worst marketed idea ever politically, and we have a bad strategy. So I put out a specific platform. I have 14, 15 specific ideas out there, which we can get into. I won't bore you with in the intro, but I have specific plans to improve the strategy and improve the marketing. And basically my strategic idea is that there's a thing called direct citizen action, which I've been advocating for a number of years. And I finally decided to, let me see if I can go into the Libertarian Party to convince them to do it. It's a little unorthodox, but there's no reason why we can't do it. In fact, we have to do it because I'm a bit of an election wonk, if you forgive me. I study election results with a level of fanaticism. We've, since 1980, when we had full ballot status, our candidates have averaged 0.8%. And if you take out 2016, which is a bit of an outlier, our candidates average 0.54%. Two of the finest men in the history of the Liberty movement, Ron Paul and Harry Brown, they averaged 0.46%. During the worst civil liberties violation since slavery, the lockdown, we got 1.2% of the vote. In 2024, after 44 years of hard work, our vote was a third of what it had been in 1980. So I think those numbers pretty much speak for themselves. If you look at the history of third parties, I won't go through the list, believe me, I have it. Let's just go with one name. Teddy Roosevelt. His face is on Mount Rushmore. It wasn't there at the time. A celebrity, famous, great speaker, you name it, wealthy, had everything going for him, had been president. He couldn't do it. The rest of the list is kind of irrelevant after Teddy Roosevelt failed. So basically, we have not been successful with this election strategy. We're probably not going to be successful with the election strategy in the near future. So we need a new strategy and we need new marketing. And if I'm elected, we'll do both. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Yates.
Good. I was waiting for a prop, David, but I'm good to go. So what's up, everyone? I'm Rob Yates, Charlotte, North Carolina. I am the communications director for the Libertarian Party of North Carolina. I have been a Libertarian, I guess, since I registered to vote in '98. The great Dr. Ron Paul convinced me, a kid coming up from a traditional Republican household. I sort of liked the ideals, small government, accountability, self-reliance, and then got into high school and found out the Republicans did none of those things, and Ron Paul opened my eyes to a whole different way. I've watched the party, sometimes active in campaigns, donating campaigns, sometimes from a distance over the years, and seen us squander opportunity. Things like Gary Johnson's campaign was really creating sort of a foothold that I think we could have springboarded off of into something bigger. But as everyone knows, no one hates libertarians more than another libertarian. And I say that tongue in cheek, but there's some truth to some of the purity testing that we do, some of the gatekeeping, and it is detrimental to the party's growth, to the party's success. I think that what I would bring to the chair role is a different perspective. I've only been really active since the COVID tyranny, because at that point I was just like, I can't in good conscience, as a dad, as a husband, as a citizen of the world, sit and watch this go. I've got to do something. But I have put a lot of nonprofit success in my wake, certainly since I've joined North Carolina. We actually 2 years ago, after me being active, and I didn't run for chair because we have a wonderful chair, but he and I work hand in hand. I'd encourage you to reach out to him and ask about me. But 2 years ago, during the presidential election, we ran more state level candidates, third party state level candidates, than every other state put together. We also have several local libertarians elected. We have another solid slate coming up this year. So we've seen the electoral success. We've learned to build off of it. We have learned to do fundraising better at a local level, and it's constantly improving. We have learned to grow better. We're the second affiliate, the state affiliate in the United States to have over 50,000 libertarians. The first was California, and theirs is a very small percentage. So one of the highest concentrations of libertarians. We constantly grow the party. And it's not magic what we're doing. My background, my professional background has been in marketing and communications, some risk, working at the big banks, and it's just a matter of numbers. You learn what works, you target your advertising, and you go after the people you want. I actually agree with Jim completely. We have a great advantage. We have liberty as our product, and it's one of the better products ever conceived by human beings, maybe next to beer. But we can sell liberty very well. We just have to understand who we're talking to, and we have to get this messaging across, and we have to make sure we have the right people messaging and the right people fundraising. We need candidates who are committed to being candidates, who learn from every race, who commit to doing it consistently year in and year out while they grow the people who will vote for them. And we need people in operations who are good at operations. We need leaders who are good at leadership. And one of the things that I have constantly achieved in my life, every project, every team I've ever been on has been successful because one of the skills that I would bring to the table is a knack for figuring out where people work best and making sure they're happy doing it. And it's not that difficult. It's a matter of getting the right people in the right place, giving them the right message, and letting them go do their thing.
All right. Mr. Benedict.
Okay, David, is it my turn?
Yes, sir.
I'll go ahead. Thank you. My name is Wes Benedict. I'm from Austin, Texas. I joined the Libertarian Party in 1996, I was walking across the campus of the University of Michigan, and there was a libertarian activist who gave me the world's smallest political quiz. And I didn't score perfect on it, but I scored very significantly libertarian. And after that, I went and looked at the website, read the platform, started reading more and more about libertarianism in the party, and I joined it. I signed up as a monthly pledger. I found out the Cato Institute also claimed to be libertarian, and I knew I had heard of the Cato Institute and liked a lot of the publications that they were putting out. And so after joining, after a few years, I started becoming an activist. First, I was a county chair. Then I helped some candidates on their campaigns in Georgia. Later moved to Texas, helped with the petition drive. We got 80,000 signatures to put the party on the ballot in Texas. I became the executive director for 4 years of the Libertarian Party of Texas. In 2006, we recruited 168 candidates who got onto the ballot that were on the November ballot. So we started with more than that. And by the November ballot, that's how many were there. We got over 7 million votes for libertarians in Texas. That was more than the rest of the country combined. In 2008, I recruited 100 candidates for state representative in Texas and a whole bunch more candidates. We had 173, a new record for Texas and way more than any other state had done. I later became the executive director of the National Libertarian Party. I served for over 8 years as the national executive director. That's longer than anyone else in the history of the Libertarian Party. I care a lot about it. I did a lot of good things as national director. I wasn't perfect. I occasionally made mistakes. Plenty of people can point it out when you've been working for the party for 12 years. People can nitpick and find little things you did right or wrong here or there. But when I left, we had 14 people on staff. We had a regular publication that we would get out. We raised $2 million sometimes, I think $1.8 million when I was leaving. We had a new headquarters building that was getting paid off that people donated for. We had it filled with staff working there who could work as a team. And, you know, the people that followed us did okay for a little while, but eventually they moved everyone out. They let the roof leak and the party started, and they ended up doing tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of damage to that building because they were so neglectful. A lot of things about the party have really gone downhill since I left in 2018. Now, it's done well in some places, especially where I've done a bunch of the projects I've done. But look, I was content to let other people run the National Libertarian Party, but it's going downhill. Evan McMahon's done a good job as secretary. He's done a great job in Indiana. Stephen Nikala has done a good job stepping in to help take over things. And so I'm very appreciative that they are here. Stephen stepped into a very tough situation and he's stopping the problems and turning things around. That is good. But I think the only person there's no one else that has as much experience as I do at running the National Libertarian Party. I was executive director. I did fundraising. I sent fundraising emails. I wrote fundraising letters. I got to the phone and did fundraising. I fixed problems with the website. I made sure all that revenue stuff worked. And after leaving, I formed the Libertarian Booster Pack, where we help recruit candidates. And I've recruited a record in a number of states. I'll talk about it later. But let me just say that what Jim was talking about, those percentages he was quoting, he must have just been talking about the presidential campaign. And the presidential campaign, it's not about the percent of votes we get there. That's about marketing for the party. If you go to libertarianboosterpack.org, I have the most comprehensive list of libertarian election results that's out there from 2010 to the present. And of the 6,253 Libertarian Party candidates, the actual average vote percent was 13.25%, which is a lot more than whatever that 0.8% or whatever that Jim was saying. Of the 6,253 candidates, 535 won. That's 8% who won their races. And the one with the biggest winning was Pennsylvania. And by the way, I did a write-up about it. I did a candidate recruitment project for Pennsylvania where we got 174 libertarians elected. That was in the year 2021. I know it needs to be done to turn around and grow the Libertarian Party. I wish other people would do it, but y'all haven't. And that's why I'm willing to run and serve as chair of the National Libertarian Party. It's a lot of work, but it's important. I feel like I'm letting the party down. I'm letting activists nationwide down if I don't step in and fix it the way I know how to do it. Thank you.
All right. So we've got
David, you're muted.
Am I? Oh, I'm muted over there. I unmuted myself for the stream. Forgot about the Zoom. So we've got quite a few different questions. So some of these are going to be more lightning round. So the next one is going to be one of those. Give me 30 to 45 seconds. What is the function of the Libertarian Party? I'm going to go same order again.
The function of the Libertarian Party is to recruit candidates, members, run candidates, and change policy by electing people to public office. That's the function of a political party.
Yeah, that's a good question. So here's how I would answer that. The Democratic Party is in the election business. The Republican Party is in the election business. The Libertarian Party is in the liberty business. And so any strategy that advances liberty is appropriate for our party. Electoral politics, in fact, politics in general, there's 4 elements of it. I know I've limited time. Politics has failed. We may have won some local offices, but actually there's less liberty now than there was in 1971. And so we have to open up a strategy of direct citizen action. And I'll talk about that further when I have more time.
Okay. Well,
I would say the liberty movement exists to advance liberty, and the Libertarian Party is that facet of the libertarian movement that its intention, it's the vehicle for succeeding in electoral politics or advancing liberty-based legislation.
I would say it's mostly what Evan said. We're here to recruit candidates and get them elected, but there definitely are other impacts that we have. Even when we run candidates who very likely are not going to get elected, they do a lot to promote libertarian principles. It changes public opinion by educating the public. We also put pressure on the Republicans and Democrats to adopt libertarian principles. It's all the candidates that Evan and I have been recruiting that have been saying legalize marijuana. It's crazy. The reason the Republicans and Democrats changed their minds on that issue is because libertarian candidates pushed it so effectively.
all right. With that being said, given the 4 answers, we're going to go back reverse order. So starting with Wes, what is the chair's function what is the chair's role in that function?
Okay, the chair's role is to be a spokesman for the party that lets the public and the press know what our views are, but we also inspire our membership and we provide services to the 50 state affiliates in the counties. Additionally, we hire the staff. You need a very good executive director. If you have a great executive director, the job of the chair is very easy. If you have a good executive director, you need a good, strong chair, and you need to have other good staff. The chair is responsible for hiring the executive director and staff and setting that direction. The chair also pushes back on the LNC when the LNC comes up with too many brand new ideas that have never been tested. So I know how to be the chair. I've worked for 4 chairs as executive director. Most of them were pretty good most of the time. I had disagreements with all of them sometimes.
All right, Rob.
I think I would mostly agree with Wes. That's a pretty fulsome answer. I would say the chair is also the leader of the party and should set the tone from the top both in decorum and strategy. And the chair is the person who's ultimately accountable for the outcome of the decisions made by the LNC.
Okay. Jim?
I think the chair has a couple of roles, but one of which is spokesperson for the party. And it's not going to hurt to have a trial lawyer with 42 years experience and an appellate lawyer with 42 years experience and a policy analyst who's written 44 papers. And there's a bit of a policy wonk. I think I can handle pretty much anybody in a media confrontation. And also to set policy and vision and strategy, such as my idea for creating a Libertarian Hall of Fame in Philadelphia, which will help marketing, because I don't think people really understand what libertarian means and the role we played in history.
I like it.
So I think the role of the chair is just about all of that. It's setting the tone and direction of the party. It's ensuring going out and talking to organizations, getting outreach. It's about getting our membership up, because without members, you're not going to have people knocking doors. You're not going to have phone bankers. You're not going to have candidates. You're not going to have local activists. You're not going to have people who are going to go and lobby at the legislature. It's about getting the donors to come in and fund the projects that get the resources for our affiliates and our candidates. It's all of those things combined. It's also about managing not just the staff, but the LNC members as well. It's about being able to try to work together and resolve differences. And I can tell you that when I was on the LNC years ago as an at-large, Wes Benedict was the executive director. And I was not nice to Wes many times. I disagreed with him. But, the chair at the time, it was Nick Sarwark and Wes, they answered my questions. They worked with me and they showed me why I was wrong in what I was thinking. And I don't admit that very often, but Wes was right. And he had the numbers to back it up. I'll tell you about that over coffee sometime. But that's what the chair is supposed to be. They're the leader of the party. They're the CEO. They're the spokesperson. They're the cheerleader. They're supposed to, Mr. Yates, when you were running on election day, you got a text message from me as the national secretary, thanking you for being a candidate. I sent that out to everybody that I had. I followed all of those campaigns. That's what a chair should do.
Agreed. Honestly, I think you guys all kind of knocked that one out of the park. Back in the first order, so starting with Evan, are you running with a caucus or a slate or an endorsed group of candidates? Because y'all are messing with it, so I can't ask the question directly this time. You guys don't have your weird fucking bullshit going on.
I'm not running with a caucus. I don't believe in caucuses. I believe in people and party members and philosophy. And more important than anything else is, are you going to do the job? Are you going to do the work? Are you going to help me achieve the vision that I have? Are you going to take on extra projects? Are you going to be able to accomplish these goals that we set out? Are you going to do the work? It's the thing in Indiana. I don't care what caucus you're from. Are you going to do the work? I don't care about your bitching and complaining if you're not doing the work. If you're doing the work, I'm going to listen to you. When you go crazy, I'm going to only listen with one ear instead of two. But I want to focus on the people who are doing the work. So I asked a couple of people if they would run for LNC officers, because I saw that they were going to do the work, and I had a vision for doing more than the minutes, doing more than the books, being more than should I die as chair, that you can step into the role. So I asked Amanda Griffiths to be the vice chair. She would run for vice chair. I know her. She's great. She's an activist. She's very radical. She'll keep us on our traditional radical message, but she's also dedicated to member involvement. She's constantly thinking of new ways to get members involved in the national party so that they have a stake and a say in what's going on. Doug Nebel, with his financial background, I want somebody as treasurer who doesn't just know how to create a balance sheet, but can actually do a fiscal analysis of programs that are working or not working. on things that we can't afford and can't afford, things that we have to try, and when do we set the threshold for when do we kill something. And then Jonathan McGee has asked him if he would run for secretary, because the dude is so anal retentive. He has written all of the JC briefs, which, almost got a unanimous approval on the Special Investigative Committee report. He's brilliant. He knows the bylaws and the policy manual inside and out, and he can keep great minutes. But the thing is all four of us come from different backgrounds. And I'm not a unity person. I'm not doing things just because I want to join the party together and unite people and do these things. I want people who are going to do the work. And all of these people have agreed to take on different roles beyond just the bylaws requirements of the office. They're going to go out and do other things. So, yes, I asked for a team because here in Indiana, we always say, give the leader the team they need to get the job done. And if you don't ask, you get what you get.
Fair enough. Jim?
I'm not running with the caucus. I'm not running with a slate. Kind of an outsider, really. But I think that's good because I think we need new ideas in the party. I'm a big tent guy. I get along with everybody. It's kind of my legal training. I've worked with lawyers who are notoriously difficult. I will reach out to anybody. I will talk to anybody. And I've done that throughout my career. So I'm actually, in spite of being a trial lawyer, I'm actually, just willing to talk to anybody and be very, very reasonable. Welcome anybody, and if there's differences, you try to work those out. As I said, I come from the left. I've dealt with the right. I'm willing to talk to anybody along the political spectrum to try to move them in the right direction, in our direction.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm not running as part of a slate or from any caucus. Certainly willing to work with anyone and wouldn't want to try to micro-engineer like how things come out. I am affiliated with LP Allies, and similarly, have been working with Amanda Griffiths. A big part of my platform is the bylaws updates that she's been working on. I want to say I'm helping. I second what Evan says. Amanda's pretty amazing. She does the work, and I just sort of bug her about the updates that I see. But they are very deliberately designed to structurally reform the way the LNC works. In some ways, not much at all. In some ways, a pretty drastic reform to allow for sort of a more nimble party, and one that allows active affiliates to be rewarded for their activity, and certainly encourages and hopefully incentivizes more activity. So definitely with Amanda, but other than that, no.
All right, Wes?
Yeah, so I'm with the Wes Benedict Get Stuff Done caucus. I just invented it 30 seconds ago. And I'm the only member, so it's going to be tough. But
I'll join.
Yeah, well,
that sounds like a great caucus.
Everybody's welcome to join. I've gotten a lot of stuff done over the years. I've always been a big tent libertarian. I welcome. I mean, I'm in Texas. A lot of them are conservative leaning libertarians. I used to be a Republican myself. I know where they're coming from. I changed my mind a lot on issues after joining the party, learned about civil liberties, gay freedoms, gay rights, anti-war, legalizing drugs, all that stuff. I changed my mind on a whole lot of issues. I'm open to everyone in the party. But, and there's things that have been done in the past that I didn't agree with. I think the party was very weak standing up against COVID. Now, the Indiana candidate for governor was super great on it and got 12%. So give credit where credit's due. But the National Libertarian Party was weak. And I think that's what spurred this whole Mises Caucus takeover of the party. They had some legitimate complaints. Now, I think they've gone too far and they've messed up a lot of the good stuff about the Libertarian Party. So you might say, I'm not pleased with some of the caucuses out there. I'm not pleased with what some of the Mises caucus has done to the Libertarian Party, but they certainly had some legitimate complaints over the years in the past. And I want to be someone who can work with the libertarians who lean a little left, a little right, perfect like me, or moderate like some of those other folks out there. We need all kinds, and you don't have to have just one message from the party. We're going to have a lot of candidates, a lot of different messages. I'm not bringing a huge team to the convention. I think I could recruit a big team and take over the party, but I don't really want to do it that way. I want to see if the guys you all are bringing there want me to be chair. If they want me to be chair, I'll be chair. I don't want to force myself into the chair's position, even though maybe I could do that if that was like my number one goal. So I want to be chair if y'all want me to be chair. Thank you.
Fair enough. I will take just a second to echo Evan McMahon's statements about Doug Neville, because he deserves the spot for treasurer. He's overqualified for it. He's great. He's awesome. Everybody gets along with him. And to the best of my knowledge, no one else has declared to run for treasurer yet. So I'm not even shitting on anybody by endorsing him. So he's great. Do any of you support, well, I know because Rob kind of alluded to it, so I'll actually start with you on this one, Rob. Do you guys support any bylaws changes at the national level that you think would either allow your administration or the party as a whole to perform better?
Yeah, we have a dramatic revamp of the bylaws that we are going to be proposing, and I really don't want to share the details are a surprise yet, but I will tell you they're very much designed to make, again, the party more nimble, to reward more active affiliates, to take some of the ability of people who perhaps have a malign interest to slow things down or come in from a minority position and stop the mechanism of the party from moving forward in a productive way. So there will certainly be a carrot and stick approach in terms of the active affiliates, the active members, and those who are seeking to hold the party back.
I feel, well, I've looked at the bylaws as far as whether they allow direct action. I think they do, but we might need, if people object to these strategies, we might need a bylaws amendment. I'm not sure what my view is on fusion voting. I noticed in reviewing the bylaws that it appears to ban fusion voting. In light of the lack of success we've had in politics, I would take a look at that. I'm open to arguments to keep what it is. I know it's hot topic. I know it's controversial. We're supposed to be different and so on. But I'm pretty hardcore on principle. I learned from Rothbard and Ralph Raico and Roy Childs, the people who started this movement. But on strategy, I'm a pragmatist. I know that's a dirty word with some people, but I think strategy is a matter of practicality. If some strategy is moving us towards liberty, so I'd be willing to take a look at that fusion voting, if that's the right term for it.
Fair enough. As a New Yorker in the LP, I'm still a fan, or originally a New Yorker. I'm still a fan of fusion voting. Evan.
So I'm gonna say that Amanda, who I love and asked her to run for vice chair with me, I disagree with her on some of the bylaws things that are being worked on and being proposed, and we've done it respectfully, and I haven't said my way or the highway or anything like that, and I said, hey, listen, you support this, that's great. Let's see what the members think. We'll work with any framework that ends up happening. I just particularly hate it. The things that I would like to see changed is, if we're going to keep region reps, I think that there needs to be a method for removing a region rep for cause that can go to the JC. If somebody is violating confidentiality, if they're creating a hostile work environment for staff and opening up the party to liability, then that should be a reason to be able to remove that liability from the LNC. I think it should go through the JC. I know that's not a popular thing, but I've seen it. I've seen it, not just this term, but I've seen it in previous terms too. And you end up with the scenario of you can't do anything if the region says no. And it continues to create a liability for the party over and over and over again. I think it should be very difficult to do, very limited, and should have lots of undo mechanisms for it, but there needs to be a mechanism. The other thing is I would say I would fully support, after I'm chair and no longer chair and done and retired, that it should be a 4-year term that is elected in the off year, not when not during a presidential cycle. But please don't do this to me now. If I'm chair, that would, tie my hands to a 4-year term. So please don't. But it's something that I think structurally would help. Switching gears during the beginning of a presidential election is not great. And resources that are put in place, those are all things that I would like to see. But I think, like, the thing that I love about what Amanda is trying to do, and why I do support what she's doing, and what the people working with her on proposals, is it's all about trying to find mechanisms to grow engagement and membership. Engagement from the affiliates on the local level. We're talking county affiliates, we're talking local candidates, and we're talking about growing membership. I'd like to see, and this is more policy manual than bylaws, I'd like to see fewer LNC members on committees and more party members on committees, and them leading them. So that's more policy manual, which I think we should pare down quite a bit, and not get bogged down in the process. Yeah, so that's what.
Wes, any bylaw changes that you would make?
I usually urge people to vote against any bylaws changes that are proposed, especially if you're not absolutely sure. I'm sure there's been a couple over the years that I've supported, and I have no idea what all is being proposed right now. I probably disagree with Evan on that 4-year term thing. If you were to look at the LNC today, are you glad there's an election coming up, or do you wish all those same people would be in there for 2 more years? And and that's not just this LNC. It's kind of like, I think you would often look at who served on the LNC. Are you glad there's an election coming up, or do you wish there was not an election for longer? I think the 2-year terms are okay. I understand the downside of having it and changes. But look, Nicholas Sarwark served 6 years. He got reelected. We've had Bill Redpath's been on many, many times. There are people who do a decent job most of the time and they get reelected. I think it's worth reevaluating every 2 years who's on there. Thank you.
Just as a rebuttal, if that's okay. Is that all right?
We'll allow it.
Okay, I'm doing it anyway. I do actually, that would be a bylaws proposal that I would support, which I think it should actually be, there needs to be a mechanism for the members to recall leadership. Mm-hmm. We don't currently have that. And that is something that is one of the, like, I wouldn't support a 4-year term if we didn't have a way to recall. But if there's a way to recall, again, I always think things should be difficult to do, but there needs to be a mechanism to do it. But there isn't.
Fair enough. All right, we're going to go back to somewhat shorter answers on this one. How would you strengthen affiliate support? We're going to go the Wes, Rob, Jim order.
Okay, so when I was executive director, this one guy was a big pain in the neck. He would send all these emails complaining. He would call and complain. You're not doing enough for affiliate support. Your website suck and all this stuff. And what I did was I hired him to be on our national staff. This was Andy Burns. I think he still does some work for various states now. It's like, okay, Andy, quit your bitching. You got the job. Serve all these affiliates, set up websites, set up databases for them. And he started getting that job done. So that's one way to provide affiliate support. Another way is to not say crazy, offensive stuff, or don't just say, please vote for Donald Trump. I'm voting for Trump. Saying stupid stuff like that hurts our affiliates. It hurts morale. It confuses the public. So maybe the first thing is first do no harm. Provide some help, but also provide a respectable national party that inspires folks to want to get involved. And if you really can't get that involved with the national party, if you're going to get involved, you're going to get involved with your county and state party. So being respectable inspires folks, inspires new volunteers, inspires new donors. That's the best way to help affiliates.
All right, Rob.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple things. One, and Wes kind of hit on this, the things you do at the top level that get attention are going to certainly reflect on all of the affiliates. So it's that tone from the top I was talking about from the beginning. Messaging is key. You got to have consistent messaging at the top that is easy for affiliates to absorb and evolve in the way that best suits their particular electorate. And you got to stop the things that are hurting everyone else. I think there's also a lot of really good work going on at the affiliate level that could be effective at a broader base. I was on a space a couple of weeks ago talking with Sean Kennedy from the American Liberty Caucus, who's put together a manual on this and has really had some trouble getting it around for everyone else. And if you don't know Sean, you should check him out because he's doing amazing work. We have a guy in North Carolina who's created this app for credentialing. It's just this amazing app that's, once again, something that could be offered to all the affiliates. So I think the best thing that the chair, the LNC more broadly, can do for all of affiliates is take advantage of the great work that affiliates are doing and make sure everyone else has access to it. Some sort of central repository connection, better communications. If I stood here and told you I could do everything, I'd be lying and y'all would know it. But what I can do is take advantage of everyone who's doing everything and help hook people up with each other. So
Yeah.
Well, what I would do is give the affiliates new strategies where we can actually start to win and become a player in American life. Direct action, vote with your kids. We need a massive school exit project and forming coalitions with other groups like Moms for Liberty. Voting with your feet. We need to develop an app to rank every county. We've ranked the states, but people don't move to states. They move to counties. And within each state, I have a project to identify the freest county in each state. Even New York has one freest county. I want to have people teaching economics, teaching about the jury system, teaching about the Second Amendment. This is not rocket science. Some of these teaching materials have already been written, and give people something to do that's different from the big problem in politics. And again, being in politics for, believe it or not, 55 years, I'm not lying. Yes, I have been, even though I'm only 68. Burnout. People come into a movement, not just the Libertarians, the Tea Party movement. I was in that movement until it got co-opted by the GOP. Been in a lot of movements. People get burned out because we give people things to do that don't work. And then their family starts to say, what are you going to that meeting for? It's been 5 years, and then they quit. So give people things to do that will actually work, and direct action works.
McMahon.
So I've been chair since 2021 in Indiana, and I can't tell you how many times I've had things done to me in my affiliate by the national party. Not with me, not for me, to me, and to my affiliate. And it's the biggest problem that I see is, it's a top-down management style and it should be a bottom up. It should be from the local affiliate on the county level up to the state party, from the state party up to national. I don't know what you need in North Carolina or Virginia or Washington State. You know what you need. But and I always tell people, I can't help you if you don't tell me you're on fire. If you're on fire, I'll come running and I'll help, whether it's to add fuel to it or to put the fire out, whatever you need. But you got to tell me what's going on for me to come and do something. I think that's first and foremost. But there's also like what I've been doing for the past few years, even as a state chair. When Illinois calls me up, when Florida calls me up and they need help with Civi CRM or they need help crafting fundraisers, in Texas, Joe Burns, me and him weren't besties. We weren't friends. And they needed help raising funds for I think it was one of the legal cases there. And, Andy Burns said to Joe, hey, talk to Evan. He knows how to do this within Civi really well. I hopped on a Zoom call and I spent 3 or 4 hours working with him, showing him how to track things and how to set them up in Civi so that they could be successful in those fundraisings. Even people I don't like, I'll help you in the party. But there's something I do want to hint at. Something that Jim said. I do think that these things that may seem like they don't win because we don't win an election matter. I can tell you that one of my counties, Hancock County in Indiana, I have candidates that have continuously run for office and they get the libertarian base every time. But they've successfully beaten DORA. They've changed the budget outcomes. They killed a program to create they were going to buy a Dodge Charger and let cops use the Charger for a week if they wrote so many tickets. By being active, by campaigning, by being active in the process and doing those things that don't seem like they win, they're changing policy. They're getting appointed to boards and commissions. They're doing the things that make lives better and more free for the people in their county. So they do matter and they do have an impact.
Right. So similar question. I'm going to go back through the same order that we just did. How do you strengthen candidate support? Starting with Wes.
Sorry, you're starting with me on that one?
Yep.
Okay. Well, y'all heard me say it many times. I've recruited more libertarian candidates than anyone in the history of the Libertarian Party. One time, 168 in Texas, 173 another time. One time, I got 174 elected in Pennsylvania to partisan offices. I recruited 57 candidates in Arkansas a few years ago and 67 in Alabama. So I have recruited a ton of candidates. One thing I do is make it clear whether it's realistic to win a race or if it's not really realistic to win. So I'm talking to these people and I'm setting them up so that they will be pleased on election day. They won't be too surprised, and they'll want to continue to be a Libertarian Party activist the day after the November elections because they feel like they did something worthwhile. So these ones in Pennsylvania, I said, you're probably going to win because you don't have an opponent. Now, a few of them beat opponents. Several of them beat opponents. There was even a mayor and school board folks that won those races. Some of them were impressive. Some were very minor, probably less than dog catcher. And so, I don't want to exaggerate. The fact that a lot of people won in Pennsylvania, that same formula will not work in Texas or Indiana or North Carolina because there's different election laws. So with each state, it's a different situation. It's not fair to say this state's better than that one just for one simple reason. Now, often one state is way better than the other, but you need to know the election, like Indiana may be a great one. Okay, fine. You need to I think Texas is better, but you need to explain the rules, and the way I get them to run is explain to them how there's value to running, and then help them in excruciating detail with all the paperwork. So like when campaign finance reports are due, I send them an email. I say, hey, so and so for such and such office, you have a campaign finance report due on this date. Here's the short version of the instructions. You can go read the 100-page manual, but here's like the 2 paragraphs that'll get you 95% there. By the way, my phone number's in the email. Call me between 8 a.m. and 10 p.m. and I will step you through it, because I learned the process in each state in a complete detail so that I could serve as their treasurer and fill out their forms if that's what required. So the way to recruit candidates: give them realistic expectations, help them with the procedures, give them useful things to do. I say, hey, if you're running to win, there's all kinds of things about how to win an election out there. But for a libertarian, if you're probably not going to win your race for Congress, but you want to help impact policy, put up a website, get up a Facebook page, get some policies written up, probably get a few signs. Stickers probably aren't necessary, but be ready to put good, intelligent salesman type stuff when you're filling out the League of Women Voters Guides and all these other various publications. The reason to run: we get tons of free media when you're a candidate, whether you win or lose an election. Now, often we're in a two-way race. You get even more press if it's a two-candidate race like that. But explaining the reason it's worth running, helping them run, helping them with some of the tools, that's how you do candidate support. And I know I've done it with more candidates. I've been a candidate 7 times myself. Got 34% for Austin City Council in a citywide race one time. That was my top one. I haven't won yet. Sorry.
Good. Rob.
So when you talk about candidate support, I think there's 2 aspects to it. There's candidate recruitment and there's campaign support. So as you mentioned at the beginning, I've run for office 3 times myself now, twice for mayor of Charlotte and once for North Carolina general legislature. And I don't see myself as a candidate in my role in the Libertarian Party long term. But one of the things I thought early on is if we want to get people to win elections, which is ostensibly the goal of running candidates, I got to see what this is about. And I went in, I learned a whole lot. And I'll tell you this: until you have run a campaign, you have no idea what running a campaign is like. There's just
Amen.
so starting with candidate recruitment, that's a double-edged sword. It is almost always better to have more candidates with the Libertarian next to their name than not. But when it comes to a return on investment in a situation where you have limited resources, you obviously want to have better candidates in races that you're more likely to win, in races that you want to win, or in races where you can make a bigger difference. So I think that candidate recruitment is a function of explaining exactly what to expect and trying to give as much guidance as possible, and then perhaps giving people the springboard they need to make the jump, whether that is providing financial assistance for filing fees, having some off-the-shelf package that's easily customizable for social and website stuff like that. In terms of getting candidates to win elections, this is where you need good people, committed people, and you got to be straight up with them. Look, so one thing I got to actually strongly disagree with Wes. He said he wants to be realistic with them, and I'm not saying don't level set, but I say shoot for the stars. Let's set expectations far beyond what they can be. And if we're not going to do it this year, if we're not going to do it next year, let's figure out what it takes and let's keep going until we get there. We had a governor and an auditor candidate 2 years ago, and we went with that approach, and certainly they did win the elections, but they broke records for third-party voting in North Carolina, a couple 100,000 votes in a state where about 2 million, 2.5 million votes total. So, we're pushing it, and we're looking to build on their name recognition and do the same thing again. And maybe we double it, and maybe we double it again. And if that's what it takes, you just don't stop. You need candidates to have recourse, whether that's a team that you put together, whether you're helping them get engaged with Good Party and learning how to do it, or voter gravity, or whatever tools they may use. We started a candidate mentor program where candidates who had run many times were working with newer candidates to sort of figure out the ins and outs of running a campaign. And we're just getting better every time. And people understand this is the long game. This is the infinite game. This is not about one election. This is about winning ultimately and doing what it takes to get there. And I think we can build that infrastructure in a way that spreads and allows candidates to morph into what they need to be for their specific locality and actually really start to see some electoral success as long as we're committed to it.
Oh yeah.
Well, am I up?
Yep.
Yeah. Just go back to the direct action because I haven't talked about it too much. So direct action seems to be the opposite of politics, but actually our candidates can do direct action as part of their campaigns. They can teach economics in 5 lessons. It's a half-an-hour program, and then take a Q&A. They can teach what we're going to put out a curriculum on the Second Amendment, short and sweet, maybe 20 minutes, and then take Q&A. And teaching jury activism, which is a form of direct action, particularly grand jury activism, which hasn't been talked about that much. It's actually more important than trial juries. So we give them things to go out, speeches, things that are new, that haven't been tried for 50 years and not succeeded. The Walk for Liberty, getting people out walking 7,500 steps a day, which would cut believe it or not, cut the rate of morbidity and mortality in half, reduce healthcare costs. But also, we need, I've been a political consultant for decades. You need a rapid response team. I'll give you a quick example. We'll give you 2 examples. The Trump accounts. This is a horrible idea. I don't think the LP issued a statement. I did. Off the top of my head, I listed 10 things wrong with the Trump accounts for kids. And just Saturday, article in the New York Times about affordability, arguing that, these young people today are spoiled and the economists say that they're better off than their parents. Not true. I'm doing a lot of research on this. In my view, government takes 80% of every dollar that you make, directly or indirectly. And we need a rapid response team when Trump comes up with a cockamamie idea. Get that out to all the candidates. It would be mostly congressional candidates because it's a federal issue. When on the affordability issue, there's so much material we could put out there. People aren't policy wonks. Well, I am, and we could get other policy wonks to contribute to this process. I would give them interesting things to do and state-of-the-art, rapidly developing information that they can look. I always get tired of people saying, we haven't gotten any coverage. You make your coverage. I've been dealing with the media since I had my first press conference when I was 19. I made them cover me by demanding that the governor remove the Board of Elections commissioner. You've got to create your own publicity, and we'll teach them how to do that.
I like it. Evan.
So I'm going to say something kind of controversial, which is I'm not going to recruit candidates as chair. I'm not going to do it. That's for the state affiliate to do. I got really upset when the candidate support started recruiting people in Indiana to run for office and then wanted to give them resources and said, hey, wait, hold on. You can't do that until they're our nominee. And stop helping. We didn't ask for help. Go away. You want help, that's different. You know, that's a different ball of wax. If you say, hey, Wes, hey, Evan, can you guys come in here and help us recruit candidates for Township Advisory Board or the state legislature or whatever we're targeting? That's different. But I don't think national should be putting its hands into a state and contacting people and asking them to run for office unless that state affiliate has asked them to do it, because you don't know what the priorities or what the focus or what the messaging is going to be for that state affiliate. What are they focusing on? Yeah. What I will do as national chair is what I've been doing for years, which is trying to provide the resources, getting you the support mechanisms. One of the things that I really think we need is a professional network of campaign staff. I've got like a handful of people in Indiana who can be treasurer because they know how to do it both on the state and federal level. And so you got 60 candidates, but only 5 treasurers. They're all doing triple duties in places. We need more people that are trained and know how to do that. A few years ago, Illinois got challenged on their petition signatures. I think it was Julie Fox was running for auditor. And the Republican Party just put in a ton of money and bust in college Republicans to the election division office in Springfield to challenge signatures. And I spent a week with Lex Green training folks on how to challenge the challenge. And the Libertarian Party of Illinois was successful. It took 2 weeks, but they actively beat back a well-funded, billionaire-funded attack to keep libertarians off the ballot. We need more people that know how to do that, that can dive bomb in and help. When a candidate is, in 2020, Don Rainwater surged in the polls. At one point, I think he was up at, the low 20% in a three-way race in a state with straight ticket voting. We had people, that were ready to jump in and do things, how to manage media, how to do media buys, how to run print ads, how to do press releases, how to do the op-eds, how to do all of the different things. We were great and prepared because we're Indiana and we're amazing. But, if we didn't have that, it would have been wasted momentum. It would have been a wasted time. And just so people know, Don Rainwater, our candidate in 2020, not only did he get 12% in a three-way race in a state with straight ticket voting, but he came in second place in 32 out of 92 counties. So in a third of the state, he beat the Democrat in a three-way race. So, but that's because, he had a good message at the right time and a good campaign team behind him. And that's something that we're missing. So we've got a lot of great people, but it doesn't matter if Wes is in Texas if they need him in West Virginia for a campaign. Mm-hmm. Now it's going to cost more money. I'd rather they be training people in West Virginia to do those things.
You hear that, Wes? He's coming for your job. All right. Well, we are going to cut to a short commercial break. Let these gentlemen stretch their legs a little bit and talk about one of our wonderful sponsors. If I can let them get off the screen. There we go. We'll mute them. Let them get a second. This episode is sponsored by My Gold Guy. If you've been paying attention to the direction this country is headed, you already know our financial system is being intentionally sabotaged. Inflation is not a mistake. It is draining your savings while the political elites consolidate power. Every time Washington prints another mountain of cash, your dollar becomes weaker and your future becomes more vulnerable. This is exactly why you need to go to mygoldguy.com/rumble and get in touch with My Gold Guy. He isn't like the big name gold companies that bait people with free gold or silver coins while quietly inflating their prices. That is deception disguised as generosity. My Gold Guy refuses to play that game. He is a no-frills, America First precious metals dealer whose mission is simple: give you the best possible prices you can to protect your wealth without the gimmicks and without the smoke and mirrors. So again, go to mygoldguy.com/rumble and fill out the short form and request your complimentary consultation. He will give you real information about the economy, the instability ahead, and how physical gold and silver can anchor your future while everything else starts shaking. And when you sign up, you will get his free gold and silver guide, which every American who cares about financial security needs to read right now. So don't wait. Don't assume things will just work themselves out. Protect what's yours. Visit mygoldguy.com/rumble today to get your consultation and the guide. Get this today. We will be right back with this debate after this other word from wonderful sponsors at the Mobility Independence Foundation.
Right now, hundreds of thousands of our loved ones and neighbors are unable to leave their homes or even their beds on their own. And it's for one simple reason. Wheelchairs are stuck in the dark ages.
50% of all wheelchairs in this country break down every 6 months. The breakdowns are easy to repair. You look at the insurance end of it, you're waiting weeks, months, sometimes 5 years for an appropriate repair.
It's been over a year.
I have to wait like 3 months.
My wheelchair is out of date. It's got a broken arm.
You don't find yourself going places because you worry about your equipment working or not working.
What we have is bureaucrats and shareholders telling individuals with disabilities that they need to live their lives.
The Mobility Independence Foundation is giving people back their independence by releasing open source wheelchair designs for free.
Completely free and accessible for anybody to download the plans, find the parts, catalogs.
Networking with nonprofits that already exist to repair wheelchairs, they can also build these designs. So if they want to build a wheelchair for somebody, we can give them the money to do that, as well as the designs, the product list, the parts, and then it's 2 months instead of 2 years.
Most good equipment is completely unaffordable, and the affordable equipment often is still very limited. And then what is approved by insurance?
A number of times that I've seen someone decline in health because of that weight.
It should be illegal. I'm glad you're doing what you're doing.
I'm just sick of watching people die over equipment that we can easily provide.
Go to themif.org for more information.
Alrighty. Welcome back, everyone, to our Fight for Grand Rapids Round 1 debate. We've gotten through quite a few of the questions, but we still have quite a few more. This next set are going to be more directed, at each of you. Some of them nice, some of them a little bit not so nice. Some of these questions are from me, some of them are from the audience / people that have sent me stuff from before the debate. Trying to make sure that I give you guys an opportunity to answer both praise and criticism that I've heard about, honestly, a little bit of all of you. So we're going to have some fun. We're going to start off with Evan. We'll start with a nice one to Evan. How many affiliated counties does LPIN have, and how many registered libertarians in the state, and how many elected libertarians in the state?
So I'll say one, we don't have registered party in Indiana. And we're really happy that we don't have that. It used to be used as a way to bludgeon people into vote. If you worked for the state government, you had to prove loyalty through party registration. So people would switch parties based off of who was in power. So we don't have that. Right now, we have, I think, 13 elected libertarians. We have close to 30 people serving on boards and commissions that have been appointed. And they are appointed as libertarians, by the way. They're not nonpartisan. They specifically appoint them because they are libertarians. Oftentimes that is in a Republican district or a Democrat district. The state law says that you have the majority party of that county gets so many seats, and then they can appoint X number of another party. And so they'll put 2 Democrats on and then 1 libertarian if there are 3 seats, or things like that. So we get libertarians on a lot of boards and commissions in the state. Out of 92 counties, we hit our peak in 21-22, where we ended up having close to 40 affiliated counties. And people burn out, they drop off, they fade away, and we're right now about 29 affiliated counties. And some of them are super active. I can tell you that a couple of our counties, like Kosciuszko County, Floyd County, Randolph County, all ran more candidates than the Democrats did. So, it was, we have some very incredible active county parties throughout the state. And I think it's less about the number and more about what they do. What work are they putting in? Are they putting in excellent work? And, I've got some county parties that I'd put up against some state affiliates, which is unfortunate. I hate to say that. But it's true. I've got some amazing county affiliates that are just, doing amazing work.
Mm-hmm. Wes, what do you think was the best idea you had and implemented as executive director?
The best idea as executive director was fixing all the broken things. So when I was first hired, I got to Washington, D.C. I went in there. I knew we needed help on fundraising, and I wanted to sign up monthly pledgers. So I got on the phone and I started calling people who had dropped off as monthly pledgers. And I say, hey, this is Wes Benedict. I'm the new executive director. I know that you were a monthly pledger and you quit 6 months ago. What would it take to get you to do a $30 a month pledge again? And I got various answers, but one answer that really stood out, and I got this a few times, was, okay, I'll go to the website and sign up for a monthly pledge. And I'd immediately have to say, oh, I'm sorry, we don't take monthly pledges online. You have to give me your credit card over the phone. And they would say, well, that's stupid. I don't want to do that. I don't know who you are, although I've heard of your name, and you don't do it on the website. Your party's, it's not working right. I don't want to be a part of it. I don't want a monthly pledge. And I'm like, yeah, good point. Okay, so what I did was it took a little bit of time, but we got monthly pledging working online, and it had worked for years before that. For whatever reason, it stopped working, and the party stopped accepting that. There were so many things like that. We would create, when I got there, when they would send a fundraising letter, they generate a list of 100,000. We'd want a list of 20,000 people. They would generate a list and it would have a whole bunch of duplicates, and they would sort them and they'd start deleting the duplicates one by one. A guy would do that like for a couple of days. And I'm like, something's wrong here. You're spending 2 days deduping a list. Excel can do that. It's called dedupe. You can do it, the whole thing, in like 1 minute. It was just like thing after thing after thing after thing that I fixed as executive director. Now, before I was there, the staff liked to go to Cato events and they'd publish photos of it on the website, or they'd go to a Ron Paul event or a Reason Magazine event and look how we're out here being liberty, and it's like, it's nice to reach out and do all that, but when half the stuff is broken and not working right, you got to fix all that stuff. And it's a perfect example right now. The national headquarters office, which was built and paid for, the recent LNC let the roof leak and just let it keep on leaking and damage the interior. Wasn't Evan, wasn't Stephen Nikola's fault, but it was the LNC and the staff's fault. I used to go to the office when I was first hired. I went every day except 3 days over Christmas. I was there on Thanksgiving Day. I was there 362 days that first year, fixing every single thing. I made a whole lot of improvements. A lot of it has broken since. I know how to fix it all. I know y'all want to get like a new logo and put some fins on the party and do all this little fancy stuff. We got to make sure all the basics are working, and then we can afford some of the little fancy stuff.
Oh man, we have a podcast that I did not start. I hate the term podcast. It's a show. It really is. Everyone's got a goddamn podcast. Liberty Inc. Yeah, it, it really is. This isn't a podcast. This is a show. There's nevertheless, not to get sidetracked. Liberty Inc. I lowercase NC capital. I did not start, but took over in season 2, and now through season 5. Got us on, I think, 13 different streaming channels. Really puts the publicity out, focused on getting good guests, and we average 6,000 to 7,000 across platforms. But we've had as many as like 40 or 50,000 for some of our bigger episodes. We've gotten our newsletter subscription up from, I think, 4,200 to 6,100. It's right in that number. We've also started using press releases weekly, and every time I come on, I got to give credit to Karen Ann for this. She was so nice when I first took on the job. Took an hour out of her time. She had been comms director in many places, and I was like, "What do I need to know about being comms director for a political party And her advice was press releases regularly every week or every 2 weeks, because you never know when you're going to hit a slow news cycle, and that has paid major dividends. Yeah, we're just every channel is just growing. Again, I'm in a marketing background, so I don't really see it as what is your most successful platform. It's how are you getting your message out most successfully, and how do the different channels complement each other? Where are you investing properly to grow, and where can you be better spending resources?
Good answer. You're not allowed to critique my questions, though. That loses you points. But no, honestly, that was a good answer. I like that. Jim, what are some of the cases that you have worked on that have helped advance or enforce liberty?
Well, we had the SAFE Act in New York. That was the attempt to crack down on so-called assault rifles, which is not a scientific term. It's semi-automatics. And the poor gentleman got convicted. He was an ex-Marine wounded in the Iraq War, and I took it up to the appellate division and argued the Second Amendment, hardcore argument, the government tyranny argument, which I've written 2 books on. But I also raised a little technicality of jurisdiction by Eric Schneiderman, who was the disgraced ex-attorney general. The court didn't want to hear anything about the Second Amendment, but they were sure interested in that jurisdiction argument, because I think they realized that it was an unjust case. So I won that case. There's been some reference to the lockdown. I filed 2 massive anti-lockdown lawsuits, one about school masks for kids, and we didn't technically win in court, but about 10 days after I had Governor Hochul served in Albany, she rescinded the regulation. We quickly had a press conference and we declared victory. That's the political consultant experience in me. And that little press conference got covered by about 35 newspapers, including the Washington Post. I filed a massive anti-lockdown lawsuit, which was not successful except in educating the public about how evil the lockdown was. I think I filed that in May 15th of 2020. And so I was on it early and often. I published a book. So there won't be any, when next time we have tyranny, we're not going to have the Libertarian Party sitting on its hands like we did the last time. If I'm the chair. I also had a piece in repealing the Rockefeller drug laws. I was fighting the war on drugs back in the mid 80s with Roy Childs and Dr. Thomas Zoss, who was a friend of mine. So those are some of the highlights. We've had some setbacks too, because it's been tough, but those are some of the highlights.
All right. Evan, you were the campaign manager for Nick Sarwark, supported both Chase and Joe and Rutherford. You've got Steve Dosbach on your campaign team now. What do you say to the members who are worried that you represent a continuation of the Prague vibes that they came in to get rid of?
First, I would say I didn't help Nick with his run for chair. I worked on Nick's campaign for mayor of Phoenix, and me and Nick weren't friends. We were actually the opposite of that. But he asked me to come and help him in Phoenix because he was serious about running a hardcore campaign. And just so people know about that race, it was the largest libertarian vote in the history of Phoenix. It was a great campaign. We targeted to get between 40 and 50,000, and we ended up getting 41,000 votes. So it ended up being a huge turnout that we couldn't have predicted. But because I'm the candidate guy, Mark Rutherford was the one who brought me into the party. I had been sniffing around the Libertarian Party for probably 7-8 years prior to that, and I had voted Libertarian, but wasn't willing to give up that sweet money from the Republicans. And Mark somehow convinced me to take zero pay and to be yelled at by people regularly by coming to the Libertarian Party. So, as far as like, am I Prague? I'm pretty radical. I'm the guy who wants the radical voice. I'm the guy who, I want us talking about the crazy things. I was talking to somebody just the other day, and I said, looking back at the party, I remember seeing the first video I ever saw of a national convention. They were arguing putting a ban on moon bases into the platform. And I thought, these people are crazy. I don't want to be involved with them. And now I'm like, I get it. I understand it. And like what Wes was saying earlier, when the Libertarian Party first started talking about LGBT rights in the 1970s, specifically in 1976, as a response to things that were happening in California, when they started talking about legalizing all drugs, started talking about legalizing cannabis, those were radical fringe ideas that are now mainstream. I remember when Democrats picked up LGBT equality in 2012. And I'm sitting here going, these are you're the people who wrote these laws. You wrote DOMA. You wrote Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And now you're trying to pretend like you've always been on this team side. Like, come on now. I think we need to make sure that we are a space for the radical fringe thought that hasn't found its place in mainstream consciousness yet, but that it can grow here. A lot of the Second Amendment arguments, ghost guns, your ability to make your own weapons, a lot of those things started within the liberty space, and they grew, and now they're mainstream. So I want to make sure that next radical idea that's going to change the country in 20 to 30 years starts with us.
All right.
I don't know if I answered your question or not, or if I just politicianed that, but it sounded pretty
good. It sounded good. I'll give it to you. I'll let the membership decide, honestly. Wes, you worked on the RFK campaign on this last cycle, and I know that there are some members that are still a little bit worried that you might support similar methodologies going forward and supporting other candidates that are outside of the party. Is that something you would support again going forward as chair? And would you support other members going out there and supporting Democratic or independent candidates?
So, first of all, I voted to nominate Chase Oliver all 6 rounds at the national convention in Washington, D.C. at this last convention. I did work for the RFK Jr. campaign over the summer, and it's a legitimate concern that people have about me. Now, by the way, when he went to the Trump team, when he decided to drop out of the race and not be an independent anymore and wanted to be a Republican helping Trump, they asked me to go help because I can't give all the details. I did a great job as the Kennedy organizer in Texas. I enjoyed it, but there's no way I was going to go help Trump or a Republican candidate. But I will say that the fact that I did, and by the way, after that, I did vote for Chase Oliver in the November election. Did everyone on here vote for Chase Oliver in November? Everybody here voted for Chase Oliver?
I didn't.
Check my pinned tweet. I took a ballot selfie because they're illegal in North Carolina.
Okay. So
I didn't vote for him.
Right. Jim did not. Fine. And I gave $600 to Chase Oliver's campaign for president. So, but the fact that I worked for the Kennedy campaign, it's a legitimate concern you have. And I've said this, I've always answered this the same way. If you don't like me because of that, I understand. I can't blame you. Every time a libertarian drops out of the race because the Republicans meet with them and say, oh, we'll let you work in our administration or something. I mean, it happens all the time. I always say, don't drop out no matter what. I don't care what's going to happen. You stay in the race. And some of them drop out anyway, and it makes me mad, but I get over it soon enough. So I've been a libertarian activist for a long time. The Republicans and Democrats are ruining our country. They're spending more money than we have. They talk about tax reform. They never start reducing spending, and that's pretty much in almost every county and state in the nation. It's not just the federal government. We need a good, strong Libertarian Party. And, you know, when Kennedy came to our convention, he gave a pretty good Libertarian speech. Again, I did not vote to have him be, I was a delegate. I did not vote to nominate him. I did not invite him to our national convention. I did not think the LNC, many of whom are on the LNC right now, voted to form a joint fundraising committee with the Kennedy campaign. That seems totally irresponsible. It undermined not only the Chase Oliver as the candidate, but it just demoralized everyone. And so, when the LNC invites Donald Trump to our national convention and Kennedy, and those folks are reelected, and they've said they were going to do this stuff, and they did all this bad stuff. I'm like, okay, maybe the Libertarian Party truly is dying. Maybe it is dead. And when Angela McArdle was reelected after the horrible things she's done and the horrible record she had, yeah, I'm like, you know what? Maybe the party is going down the drain, and I need to look at some other opportunities, to get involved. And so some of that weighed on my decision to go ahead and help the Kennedy campaign. But I see state parties being interested and being good, solid Libertarian Party organizations again. A lot of people want the party to go back to being libertarian instead of being pro-Trump Republican. There's way too many pro-Trump Republicans that snuck into too many leadership spots in this party. I'm not for, it's okay if you somewhat agree with some conservative issues, but you can't be supporting Trump in elections, and you can't be supporting Republicans in elections. And me working for Kennedy certainly is something that you all can take that into account. And if you don't want to vote for me because of that, I will understand that. I want to make sure there are people that are good enough, that think I'm good enough, or that think I'm not good enough. And if we have a whole lot of delegates in Grand Rapids that are either good enough for me or better than me, that's what I want to see. I want the Libertarian Party to be successful and thrive. It doesn't matter whether I'm the chair or not. I'm willing to be chair if people think that's what's best for the party today.
All right, Evan, what do you got? I guess I'll give you another.
I just want to say something to Wes and about Wes. I've respected you for years, even when we disagreed, and you showed me that you were right on the fundraising letters. I still talk to people about that to this day. I was disappointed when it was announced that you were working with Kennedy, but I understood. I get it. Kennedy wasn't a mainstream candidate, and we had our major party donors backed Kennedy because they saw him as a disruptor, and they were, somebody that was going to disrupt Trump and disrupt, Harris or Biden. I don't, it was kind of up in the air. I've circulated petitions for Green Party candidates and independents in Indiana to help them try to get on the ballot. Jim was talking about Teddy Roosevelt before. The only other third party that ever existed in Indiana was the Bull Moose Party. The Libertarian Party is the only one, and they didn't even earn ballot access. They won it in the court for one cycle, and then they lost it. Libertarians are the only ones that have ever maintained it, and we've had it since 1994. We've participated in lawsuits defending, trying to help the Greens and Independents get on the ballot and get ballot access in Indiana. I've gone petitioning in other states. Try not to ever do it when there's another candidate, when there's a Libertarian, and I've never done it as an officer. I got it. I saw it. I understood. I was disappointed, but I don't know that, that's the thing that I think should, I see people saying that disqualifies you, and it's, and it was upsetting. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I'm saying this in the nicest way I could. It was very upsetting. But I know you, and you've been in the party for a really long time, and you have good intentions. And I don't think you set out to try to hurt our nominee. In the moment that it looked like it could hurt our nominee, you left. You stepped away from that situation. So I think people need to give you a little bit of grace. They can still be mad at you and upset about it. But I've seen some comments, and I just want to say I think people need to give you a little bit more grace, because we've talked about ballot access, we've talked about supporting independent candidates and third parties, and so they need to look a little bit through that same microcosm or that same lens a little bit when they're thinking about you in that situation. That's all I wanted to. Sorry.
Fair enough. And I'll kind of echo that. Far be it from me to judge somebody for working for a non-libertarian campaign. RFK is better than Trump or Biden, who I both worked for. So moving on from that, Mr. Ostrowski, would you, you've already kind of criticized campaigns as a strategy throughout the debate so far. Would you support running a libertarian candidate for the sole purpose of dropping out and endorsing a candidate from another party?
Not in love with that idea. I'd have to think about it. I'm open to, if a strategy is going to increase liberty, I would consider it. I'm not convinced that would. There's been some talk about how campaigns have accomplished some pro-liberty points, but the fact of the matter is, and look, I can crunch numbers all day long. I love statistics. We have a lot in some of the AI and some of the Beltway economists would disagree, like in that New York Times article, which is nonsense. We have a lot less liberty now than we did in 1971 when the party was founded. So there's been a couple victories, but the net effect is government spending is up. It's all up. I'm not going to bore you. Believe me, the regulations are up. This is what I do. I research this stuff. I'm kind of a fanatical researcher. So if somebody comes up with a pragmatic idea that's going to advance liberty, I would seriously consider it. So I would say I'm skeptical of that idea. I wouldn't preclude really any pragmatic idea of that nature. But I think, I have one of my aphorisms: simple battle plans are the best. That is not a simple battle plan. Lots of things can go wrong there. My first choice would be to pick our own hardcore libertarian.
All right. Mr. Yates, what would you say to people
I think, is he muted?
David, I think you're muted.
I did
Muted.
the thing
Muted, David.
again, where I only half unmuted myself. Mr. Yates, you have not served as chair of a state party, and to my knowledge, county party either. Do you have chairman experience from any other nonprofit or organization? And if not, how do you reconcile that with running for national chair?
So I'm actually surprised it took this long for me to get this question, just since I've announced. Yeah, I was state and Charlotte chair for FAIR, Dale Davis's organization, for a number of years. And then I've been obviously very active in the administration of the state party here. And I worked at, I won't drop names, but the two biggest banks in the United States in the risk department. And I've run like multi-billion dollar risk assessments, divestments, acquisitions, credit facilities, like many times bigger than the budget of the LP, and certainly a lot more staff, a lot more moving pieces. I can say I wouldn't be doing this if I wasn't 100% confident that I was fully prepared to handle the demands of the role.
Okay. This question is going to be for all of you, but Wes, since you already answered it in a couple of questions ago, I'll start with Evan. Would you support doing the joint fundraising committee again if that question came up now that you're on the LNC?
So, funny story, I was working on Chase's campaign after the nomination, and I was doing fundraising, and we were building a joint fundraising agreement, and we were working on the state portion of it and the legalities of it for our nominee for the Chase Oliver campaign, when all of a sudden we kind of got blindsided that there was going to be this thing. And I was flabbergasted. I couldn't imagine that, the party leadership was going to have a joint fundraiser with not our nominee. Like, that's just, so yeah, I think joint fundraisers are great. There's a lot of opportunity to be able to double up on fundraising for the candidate, for the states, for the national party. But with our nominee not trying to jump through some hoops to try to, force another candidate on the ballot in a state so that you can claim some sort of affiliation, or saying that because the person came to the national convention and got 12 votes, that somehow makes them an affiliated candidate that we're now going to raise all this money for, and then have all of these side organizations that are getting all of these payments and things. Like, no. With our nominee, 1000% yes. It is a bit of paperwork, and some of the states maybe didn't necessarily handle things the way they should have. But given our nominee wants it, our state affiliates wants it, it's with our nominee, I would support it. Otherwise, not a chance.
Mr. Ostrowski, would you, if you were chair at the time, would you have supported the joint fundraising committee with RFK Jr.?
I have to confess, I'm not all that familiar with it, but I saw him when he came to Buffalo. I like the man a lot, but he's not a libertarian, so I would have some serious concerns about that kind of a joint effort.
All right. Rob?
Yeah, I mean, my broad answer is a pretty solid no. I never say never, because you never know what sort of situation you could come into that might be more advantageous. And this is actually one where I'm probably less quick to maybe condemn some people who thought it was a good idea up front, but I tend to agree with Jim on this. I just can't see a situation where it's not so complicated that it becomes more trouble than it's worth. We are not in a position to be negotiating for those things right now.
Fair enough. All right, then we are running over a little bit, so I'm going to ask one more question of each of you. That is actually my favorite question that I have written. And we're going to go starting with Wes, Rob, Jim, Evan route again. And what activists or organizations do you currently have a relationship with that you could turn into relationships with the LP itself and bring them in?
Well, so my day job is with Texans for Reasonable Solutions. So at night and on the weekends, I get to be an unreasonable libertarians with the rest of you guys. But what I do during the day is visit the Texas state legislature and lobby to get pro-free market bills passed. In the last legislative session, we got 4 bills, free market leaning bills passed by the Texas legislature, signed by the governor, that make it easier for the free market to provide more housing supply here in Texas. And in the coming legislative session, we'll be working on a few more housing bills, and then also addressing the grid. So, I'm talking about electricity. So Texas, about 80% of the state is separate from the rest of the country. Its electrical grid, there's pros and cons to that. But with all of these data centers and Bitcoin mining and some other manufacturing coming to Texas, plus all the Californians and Indianans and New Yorkers who prefer the warm weather coming to Texas. There's a whole lot of growth in population and demand for electricity. And so we're working on preparing and drafting and passing legislation to make sure the supply, because supply and demand, right? So if there's only a more demand but not more supply, prices get bid up. We want to make sure supply comes in as well. So people know I'm the former executive director of the Libertarian Party. We work with we partner with organizations from conservative think tanks to liberal left-leaning organizations and some moderate ones, and certainly all the real estate business organizations and what have you. So I've been meeting tons of people in this process, meeting them online, but also going to visit legislators at the Capitol and working on pro-freedom stuff. It's very baby steps. I mean, as a libertarian, we read these bills, we're like, really? That's all we're asking for, to change the law? But it's like, well, we have to do something that Republicans and Democrats will pass. That's what I've mostly been doing the last year. Of course, I mean, I do have my own organization, Libertarian Booster PAC. You can find more about what the Libertarian Booster PAC does at our website, libertarianboosterpac.org. And for all the folks out there who are new to the Libertarian Party, or if you're an old libertarian activist and not getting much done, you can, at the Libertarian Booster PAC website, you can buy this book, Introduction to the Libertarian Party. A lot of people besides me have said this book doesn't suck. This book helps libertarians become better activists. It helps candidates set realistic expectations for themselves and helps build a party. And if you are with some other organizations, get some copies of my book. You can buy them in bulk at libertarianboosterpac.org and hand out 20 of them. Some state parties have bought like 100 at a time and given them to every new member. And they found it was very successful at helping them become better libertarian activists. So that's what I've done. Thank you.
Right. Mr. Yates.
So the first one, and I'm actually excited to say this because it's like my biggest flex that I have, but I do have a relationship with Daryl Davis. I got him on the LPI live stream. I hooked him up with Jeff Charles for his podcast. I would love to get Daryl Davis active as a I feel like he embodies all of the spirit of libertarianism, and he was unfamiliar with us until recently. That's my pie in the sky one, but that'd be like my greatest accomplishment.
That's a great answer.
More than that, I think on a specific level, I think the Sound Money Defense League, they're doing amazing things. One of their most active people lives right here in Charlotte, is a friend of mine, JP Cortez. Go give them a follow if you haven't. But what they're doing to bring gold and silver back is the underlying currency of America is amazing work. I think we could be supporting them. I think we could really work to strengthen our relationships with Students for Liberty and Young Americans for Liberty. We lack in the party an established pipeline for recruiting the youth. I think no matter what you think of Charlie Kirk's politics, he was doing an incredible job of getting out to that group, and I think there are lessons we could learn from that. I think the Democrats have lost a little bit of their organized pipeline, but they have a lot of control of academia itself. So we have conservatives coming from the outside, Democrats on the inside. We need to find a way into the youth if we want to keep the party growing. And I think that we have some press organizations. Everyone mentioned Cato. I think someone mentioned Reason. I think we could work with them more directly through the party and use their platforms to amplify our message and what we're doing. I'll tell you this, Reason magazine was, for a college kid, in a very liberal university, just like it kept me going. I love that magazine. People could, I know it gets some bad press now, but I love Reason. Still subscribe. And I would just love to see it more involved in pushing some of our candidates, some of the things the party's doing, maybe getting involved in congressional and press White House briefings and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, I actually have a program in response to the question, which is my two-way platform for LP chair. the Democratic Party hates the Second Amendment, obviously. The Republican Party pretends to like it, like they pretend to be a lot of things. I call them a giant fraud scheme. But we have not exploited the fact that we are hardcore on the Second Amendment. There's this gigantic Second Amendment movement out there, and I have instant credibility with them. I've written 2 hardcore books on the Second Amendment. I have litigated many cases. I mentioned in footnote 4 in the Bruin case, Libertarian Party v. Cuomo. Yes, that Cuomo. And Clarence Thomas said, although I lost in the Second Circuit in New York City, that case was wrongly decided, and I'm filing another major lawsuit. So as part of my platform, I'm going to be hoping to meet with Congressman Massey soon. He's got an idea that I've had independently of him, which is a federal constitutional carry bill. I'm going to meet with him, and if I'm elected chair, I want the party to get behind that. And then we have constitutional carry at the state level. So I've been in touch with the Tennessee Firearms Association. I've sold books there. I met with the president, who's an attorney. I want to work with him to get, they claim there's constitutional carry down there, but the gun people say not really. So I want to work with him on that. And I've also done legal work for New Hampshire Firearms Association. And finally, quickly, I'll just read from my flyer. The 2A movement has not properly educated the public on the purpose of the Second Amendment to deter tyranny, and certainly has not presented the empirical proof that it works, et cetera, et cetera. So I will work on creating a 1-hour cram course on the Second Amendment to educate the public. So that would be, to me, the right to bear arms is not only the most important issue right now in the United States, I think it's the most important political issue in human history. And I could, if you read my books, you'll understand why I say that. So I would really focus on coalition building on 2A.
All right, Mr. McMahon. Hopefully your answer has something to do with that name.
No, sorry. Too bad. I've worked with a lot of groups and organizations over the years, and from the Rainbow Chamber of Commerce across the country to the vaping industry, the CBD industry, work to help overturn ridiculous laws. The Real Estate Investors Association during COVID, when you couldn't evict people after like 9 months of not paying rent, you still had to let them stay for another year, which Jim probably knows is a takings when the government says you can't do this. Lots of organizations over the years, the Romance Writers Association of America, independent filmmakers, mostly horror films. And I don't know if you've ever been to a genre horror film convention. It's a lot of people that don't know what libertarianism is, but are libertarian. If you watch zombie films, that is like you are a libertarian. So the big thing is our message has to be adapted. I think the bigger thing is how we talk to people. And it's not about educating you. It's not about hitting you over the head with the road to serfdom and telling you all of your problems will be solved if you just follow rule of law, and if you just do this, and if you just read this, 32-point treatise on the economy. No one cares. They care about their house, their kids, their health care, and they want to know that you care about them. Some of the best people I've met, they don't come and tell you why you're wrong and stupid and how you don't know anything. They ask you, what can we do better? And then they provide you a libertarian solution, not a history lesson, not a dissertation. They say, here's how libertarians would do it differently. And I think that message if that becomes the way we message our policies across the country, I think more organizations will see themselves in us. And that's the best way that we can coalition build, is by having people look at us and see themselves. Maybe not all the time, maybe not on every issue, but on the thing that's important to them. Do they see libertarianism as being the thing that could help them achieve what they're looking at? Whether it's affordable housing. Most people are going to glaze over when you start talking about how 30-year mortgages started in the 1930s because of a Supreme Court case. Instead, say, hey, do you know that the inventory of housing is low because your city won't allow new houses to be built? That's why you can't afford property. Let's fix zoning, ridiculous zoning laws. There, I just gave them an entire lesson in one sentence. So, let's change our messaging so that people can see themselves in us and let that outreach grow.
Oh yeah. All right, I've got one more ad read to do before we go to closing statements, and this is from Rumble, where we're streaming most of this. You've probably noticed Rumble is growing fast, and it's not slowing down. They're building a real alternative to big tech that puts creators first and actually protects free speech. And now there's Rumble Premium, an easy way to upgrade your experience. With Premium, you get ad-free viewing across the platform. No pre-rolls, no interruptions, just the content you came for. Plus, Premium members unlock exclusive content like bonus videos, behind-the-scenes drops, and more from your favorite creators. Right now, Rumble is offering $10 off an annual subscription. If you go to rumble.com/premium and use promo code STUDIO at checkout, STUDIO, that's rumble.com/premium, promo code STUDIO. No ads, more freedom, and content you actually care about. That's the deal. All right, and we're back. So before I let you guys go, I want to give you guys some chances to do quick closing statements, and I mean quick this time, and tell people how they can learn more about you or get in touch with you if you guys are open to that. I wouldn't suggest giving these crazies out here your information, but maybe. And then if you guys are going to be at state conventions or anything like that coming up where people can meet you, tell them about that. We'll start with Evan.
I want to bring the professionalism that we have in Indiana, but also the bottom-up leadership strategy to national. All the things that I talked about tonight, focusing on that. You can reach me at libertarianevan@gmail.com, also on Facebook. Those are the best ways to get a hold of me. If you need Wes Benedict's cell phone number, I'm happy to give it to you. I'll be at the Michigan State Convention doing a training session on building up county affiliates. That's mid-January, I think January 16th or 17th. Obviously, the Indiana Convention in March, California Convention. I think we're all going to the California Convention, the Texas Convention, I think West Virginia. I'm trying to do as many as I possibly can, to give people an opportunity to look me in the eye and ask me whatever question they want. That brief enough for you, David?
Perfect. Mr. Ostrowski.
Yeah, I'm basically on Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. Very easy to find. My platforms are online, very short bullet point platforms, and I'm trying to get to all the conventions that I can get to. Just waiting to hear confirmations. But just in terms of a closing, politics has not worked, and we need to do something differently. And I've listened very closely to these gentlemen, and I think they are committed to the same political strategy that so far has not worked after 50 years. So I'm going to broaden that out to direct action. One idea I didn't mention is that I want to have a strategy. As I like to say, in politics. Every high school, every grammar school basketball coach has a strategy. And what is strategy? It's your plan for victory. So what is our plan for victory? I want to have an international strategy session, libertarian strategy session. I want to have it in Nashville, Tennessee. I'll explain why as the campaign goes on. And I don't think we've ever had one. I mean, the liberty movement goes back to 1646. The modern resurgence goes back to 1969. I don't think we've really ever had an international strategy session. So I want to do that. And if you want new ideas to get us off of this schneid of 0.8% of government getting bigger, a lot more intrusive, spying, invasions of privacy, travel restrictions. They can take your passport away for, you know, if you don't pay your IRS taxes. If you want new ideas, I'm the campaign that has them. I got about 15 of them, and I'll roll out more as the campaign goes on. So thank you very much.
Thanks for coming, Rob.
Thank you very much, David, for having us. I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you, everyone who tuned in and listened. I hope I didn't bore too much of your night away. Hope I made some impressions. Jim says that we are trying to sort of reify the same strategy that we've been doing for a number of years. I don't know that that was my exact takeaway. I would argue that I'm coming from a fairly different position, certainly outside in terms of organization within the party, but a number of successes at other organizations that I would like to try and bring. You're never really trying the same strategy because the playing field is never the same. You can learn from your old lessons and you can apply them hoping for a better outcome, but all you can do is try and fail and then fail better. And I have proven successes in communications, in growth, in marketing and selling a product. And like I said, we have this amazing product called Liberty. And it would be my honor to carry that torch, unintended, for y'all at the vanguard to sell this product. I do anticipate being in California and Texas, as well as I think South Carolina, or excuse me, Georgia, and then North Carolina is having its 50th, March 27th, 28th, and 29th. And while I'm here, I'd like to invite all of you to come speak and hold a panel on that one. If you can make it, it looks like we might even get Kara Schultz to be able to moderate. She will be there giving a candidate training for everyone that wants to come in. So thank you again for your time.
Nice. I love Kara. She's amazing. Mr. Benedict.
Yeah, thanks for having me. My name is Wes Benedict. If you want to find me, you can just Google it or whatever. There's only a few, but I'm the best one. I'm in Texas, and I'm the one that's the libertarian. So it's not hard to find. I'm on Facebook and whatever. My phone numbers are out there. They're not hard to find. I've been a libertarian activist for a long time. I served as executive director of the National Libertarian Party for 8 years, and we had 8 years of solid results. After leaving that, I continued to run something called the Libertarian Booster Pack, and I worked with several states. In Alabama, we recruited a record number of candidates, 67, and that was with the cooperation of the Alabama state chair and their committee. Same with Mississippi. 17 in Mississippi, 57 candidates in Arkansas. This is after me leaving the executive director position. I've shown that I can make big things happen in multiple states. I made the national party a respectable thing that functioned well. It gave the opportunity for everyone with all of their wonderful new ideas to test them out at the county and state level. And whenever we would see something working, we would adopt it, or we would write about it in LP News. You know, if Jim wrote a great book on some topic or filed a great lawsuit and made a big impact, we would want to put that kind of thing in LP News so all the readers could read about it and say, wow, I like what he's doing. I want to do that too. Inspire people to get out there and do more. So I want the Libertarian Party to succeed. I left the National Party several years ago. I think people were tired of me. So, and I was tired of doing it as well. I mean, I left the full-time staff position. Mm-hmm. We had 14 folks as staff members. We had a website that worked. We had an office with folks working together. We shipped $300,000 worth of merchandise to support the Gary Johnson campaign, shipped over 1 million items. We had a lot of great things going, and that has gone way downhill since I left. And I'm still for liberty, and I've been working with libertarians in Texas and some other states. But now the national party's gotten so bad that it's threatening the existence of the Libertarian Party. And for that reason, I'm willing to get involved with the national party and help turn it around. If you elect one of these other guys, I hope they'll do a great job. I guarantee if you elect me, I've worked for 4 state national chairs. 8 years as national executive director. I know how to hire people. I know how to fix all the things. I know how to incorporate great new ideas into what's going on. I want the Libertarian Party to succeed. I'm Wes Benedict. You can find me a lot at libertarianboosterpack.org or on Facebook, or just Google my name. You'll find all kind of stuff. Thank you very much for being interested in the party.
Hell yeah. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on. I just want to take a second to say that I greatly hope that what we see this time next year is a Libertarian Party that at a national and local level is greatly influenced by all 4 of you gentlemen. I have had the personal, direct pleasure of getting to work with Evan, Jim, and Wes on a couple of different things, and getting to meet you guys at a couple of different things. Again, unfortunately, Rob, this is our first time meeting, but I have heard secondhand some amazing stories about you and some of the work that you do in North Carolina from people I love and respect a lot. So I have a lot of respect for all 4 of you gentlemen, and I really look forward to seeing this race continue on in a nice, positive, respectful kind of way like you guys did tonight. There was a little bit of disagreement. Nothing got heated. Nobody actually called anybody names other than yourselves. It was great. And there's still some questions that we didn't get asked, and there's still a bunch more coming through the chat and whatnot. So if you're putting together a state convention that will happen before Grand Rapids, and you're trying to put together a debate for these gentlemen, and you'd like to have a good moderator who will not repeat all of the same questions that these guys are getting asked 19 times, but instead just continue on with a round 2, let me know and bring me out to your state convention. I would love to do that. Guys, again, thank you so much for coming on. This was an absolute blast.
Thanks, David.
All right. Chat, thanks again for
Merry
watching.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas. True that. We'll see you back here next time. Until then, keep up the fight.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.